Hey everybody, Michael Gelini here, Metro New York's luxury sales manager for Treasury Wine Estates, and I'm joined by Ferrian Carletta, who is the DM of New Jersey. She's
Hello.
a year and a half. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you actually may know her in New York because she worked in the Moet Hennessy division, I believe. So you may have seen her around the building.
Could be familiar to some, but big
She's
company.
awesome, and we're very lucky to have her. And I asked her which wine she wanted to do. So the whole concept of this training is, hey, do you have like 2 minutes to talk about this wine? But we're going to talk about two wines today. And she's chosen to compare and contrast two wines from Beringer. So the Beringer Luminous Chardonnay and the Beringer Private Reserve Chardonnay. So the first wine we're going to talk about is the Luminous. All right. So Ferry, I got to ask you, do you have 2 minutes to talk about this wine?
I think I do, yeah. I'm here for you.
So Beringer, I know, was created in 1876. It's the oldest continuously producing winery in Napa Valley. They've made a lot of wines. This wine, the Luminous, was created about 5 years ago with its first vintage. Did you know that Luminous actually stands for luminous? It's very bright and light in Latin. So when the winemaker Laurie Hook, at the time, the seventh winemaker of Beringer, created this wine, she wanted something distinct. She wanted something very bright, something Meursault in style, but it is Napa Valley food, so you can never get rid of that terroir, but it does taste Napa Valley. So this is a great wine. What can you tell me about it in 2 minutes?
So 100% agree with you that it is, the luminous does mean light, and you can see that on its palate. It's coming from the Big Ranch Vineyard, which is Oak Knoll AVA. For those who don't know, it is Napa Valley, but it is the southernmost part of Napa Valley. So on the southern end, you're going to get the fog and the warmth and then the cool air in the morning. And then as the temperatures rise, then the grape matures, the acidity builds. But without that cool morning and the building of the temperatures, that holds the acidity in. So that brightness stays within the grape. And I think you really see it. I know that as well, now that Mark Beringer is back making the wines, it really is cool to tell the story of craft and heritage and history, with Beringer being the continuous oldest winery in California, that we really have some historical land and some great stories to tell with these wines. These wines, as we're going to compare to the Private Reserve Chardonnay next, but they both do go through malolactic fermentation. So this one goes just 30%, I believe, or am I wrong?
33 is the exact number, but yeah, lower.
30-ish, right, 30-ish% of mallow. So that's going to round it all out. And then it's aged 9 months in barrels. So you're going to get that full fruity style, but I think really underneath the nuances are that lighter, there's some citrus in there, and you really get a balanced wine. Definitely, though, on the more medium bodied to full.
Yeah.
I
love the brightness of it. I love the brightness of it. There's a little bit of grapefruit in there. Definitely see lemon lime, but you are getting that green apple, the green pears, the skins of it. It's really luminous. It's really bright.
Yeah, and I do think that this wine could go for many different occasions. It's great for people that do like that big, bold Napa style, but also for people who might like more Burgundian styles. And then if they maybe haven't been fortunate enough to try this wine yet, that it would really go nicely if you're at a dinner party or if you're a restaurant that wants to pour something a little fuller by the glass. I think it definitely does appeal to a lot of different palates.
Exactly. And for our retail sales reps, putting this in the cold box is so awesome. And competitive set to this one is obviously a really brighter style of Chardonnay. So something like a Gurg Chales or a Cakebread really go up against this wine. Those two brands don't tend to have a lot of mallow. They're a little brighter in style, so I think that's a natural competitor to us. And when you put them in the cold box, it really jumps off the shelf. Consumers definitely know and love and respect the Beringer name.
100%. And I also, to just continue on that for your retailers, telling the story is really important. So any of those stores that hand sell wine, you know, having this in the cold box and seeing the label, and maybe some customers might not be aware, it really does, when you speak about Beringer and what they're doing and how they're kind of, this is a single vineyard Chardonnay as well. So that does merit the price a little bit more. It really is a fun hand sell. So when someone's staring at the cold box and they're not really sure, to have the salesperson come over and talk about it and it's ready and it's cold is kind of a no-brainer.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm actually the guy, the wine salesman that loves California Chardonnay. I know I should say that, but I actually really do. So I happen to love that wine.
And not for nothing, but I know in retail too, a lot of people, at least I know a lot of people in my personal world that always like to ask about alcohol. My father-in-law, for particular, he thinks that if the alcohol is higher, it makes it better. Again, we won't go off that tangent, but this is 14.5%. So that is something that if you're looking for that, people are questioning the price or wondering why, you know, this is a big style Chardonnay. So, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of people asking me, well, you know, Beringer, you know, they make white zin. Why would I want to buy this? It's, you know, they just really make inexpensive, cheap wine. And what I always say to my customers and reps, Beringer makes a different price point for every wine drinker. And the winemaking team that makes this has nothing to do with the main and vine tier. So they're completely separate. And so this is what, you know, Mark Beringer, these two wines are what Mark Beringer is trying to really focus on. And I think he does a great job.
Agreed, 100%. And like you said, it's all separate winemakers, separate tiers, and a lot of consumers are very unaware that Beringer makes higher end wine. So while they might know the name, they might not know that there's really higher qualities out there. So it's great to educate them and let them know.
Plus, the upper tier range, otherwise known for us, is part of the Distinction series, and then the Private Reserve series. Pretty much on average, 93 points. So you're getting a really well-respected Chardonnay from Parker's Wine Advocate, Spectator. It really kind of stands true, and it stands kind of continuous with its scoring. So it's really a testament to Mark Beringer and his team, who are really crafting great wines consistently for that. So I
couldn't agree more.
Poured the Private Reserve Chardonnay.
Yep.
One of my favorites.
One of my favorites.
When was the last time you had PR Chard?
So, well, we have 2018, so we did try it a couple of months ago when we got it in, but I think it's drinking beautifully. Just a little bit of history about this wine. So like we were talking about north and south of Napa Valley, the Luminous coming from the southern, this is coming from the northernmost valley, which is Gamble Ranch. It's their northmost Napa Valley. It's the Oakville AVA. So again, this does have a lot of different ranges of temperatures. Even now that it's north, you're going to get cooler mornings, but then as the sun rises, as you all know, in California, it gets really, really warm. So you're getting a lot of extraction in these grapes, but there's still acidity there. These are older vines, clone 4 vines of their area of the Gamble Ranch. So they're some of their older vines, and each lot is separate, and then they vinify it separately. They go into 100% French oak for 10 months. All of this wine goes through malolactic fermentation and then 10 months in oak. So when we talk about the Luminous, it's kind of like maybe a baby Private Reserve, even though we're coming from different areas. You can see that this is the grand, you know, maybe like if the Luminous is the teenager, this is like the father or the grandfather, because it just really shows all of the length and the extraction that you can get out of Chardonnay while keeping it really elegant.
I'll tell you, in my career, that I've actually sold the Treasury portfolio years ago at a distributor. I've been drinking Private Reserve Chardonnay for a very long time. First of all, before that, the only winery in California to have a top 100 #1 wine of the year for their white and red, and that's the Private Reserve program. This was the wine of the year in 2002, so that's really exciting. This used to be a butter bomb. This used to be and rich and just takes over your mouth. And I always liked it, and the consumer back then really loved that style. If you notice in these vintages, the acidity is so much more pronounced than our competitive set, which would be Rumbauer.
Yep, 100% Rumbauer.
Just is holding on to that style, which is great. It's for them. That's their signature style. But Beringer has kind of pumped up the acidity a little bit, and you get the roundness, but with a great elegance behind it that's holding it all together. And that's
100
pure Chard.
Agreed. And I do think this is 14.8%, you know, a little bit more alcohol, but they still, like you said, it's round and it's elegant. It's 100% Meyer lemony, pear, creme brulee. I mean, all the styles that you're going to expect from a higher end Chard. And also Newton Unfiltered Chard would be another good competitor.
Another one, yeah.
Even though they're a lot more, they don't do mallow, I believe. But either way, these are the wines, this is what you expect from these wines. But like you said, and I agree 100%, that the elegance and acidity holds, which really makes the wines balance. And I think that might be attributed to Mark Beringer now that he's back. You know, he really knows how to keep his wines balanced while producing that flavor profile that people are looking for in his wines.
Agreed. So 2 delicious Chardonnays from Beringer, 2 different Chardonnays, North and South of Napa, vineyard versus kind of a blend a little bit. So they can go on a wine list and be there together. They can go on a wine shelf as well and still be separate but together. And I think they're great opportunities. And the Chardonnay portfolio of Treasury Wine Estates from California kind of sometimes gets overlooked because we're so cab driven. We have a lot of cabs in our portfolio. I always try to remind reps, don't forget about our Chardonnays and don't miss that opportunity, because this is such an awesome snapshot of 2 different Chardonnays from Napa Valley. And I think it's worth getting on your wine list or onto the shelves.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you for the last 5 minutes, and thanks for in the video.
Cheers, everybody, and I hope everybody stays safe and, you know, is drinking good wine.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks.
Cheers.